All right, welcome back. So this is the part two. I told you that the transforming array methods are actually plenty, and we need to do some exercises to actually understand better. So this part two, we're going to take a look at some other methods in the array. And one of the reasons why what we are doing is very important is that an array is one of the data structures in JavaScript. So if you understand how these data structures can you work and how the methods you can use to manipulate them and work with them, it's actually amazing. So let's take a look at the flat method. The flat method is used to flatten a nested array. I don't know if I have mentioned it before that an array can also contain an array. All right. So that's what we mean by nested array. So you see, the flat method is used to flatten nested arrays into a single array. So if you have nested arrays, these things occur every time, especially when you're working with data coming from the database. All right. So it will remove the nested structures up to a specific depth. So the nested array can be one level deep or two level deep or three levels deep. All right. So the flat method actually flattens it to a specified depth. You will be the one to tell the flat method how many level deep you want it to flatten. So look at the syntax here. The name of the array dot flat. Then this depth argument here is optional. So if you specify it, it's going to specify how deep you want to flatten the array, but the default is 1. So if you don't provide it, if you don't provide this argument, the default is going to be 1. So look at this as if you don't know the depth, use infinity to fully flatten the array. Now, the thing is that sometimes you might be reading data from the database, or most times, and you might not really know because you're not the creator of that array. So you might, since you don't know the depth, you can use infinity. This argument of depth, instead of putting 1, 2, 3, if you don't really know the depth, you can put infinity. And JavaScript will do the magic for you. So, but before we leave here, let's do some example. Let's do some example. All right. So, so I have this array, all right? I can also have, um, okay, this. What is the error coming from? All right, okay, I can have another array inside, and I can have, um, um, cherry, okay, sorry. Yeah, I can have cherry. I can have, um, I don't really know these fruits. Um, Pineapple. Can I even spell pineapple again? Pineapple. I'm sorry if I didn't get the spelling of pineapple. Okay, I think it's E before A. But anyway, this is not an English class. Okay, so I can also have pear. Yes. So you can see now this array has nested array. You can actually, the value can also be another array. So let me just print out this fruit so that you can see how. Okay, the value can be a nested, can also be an array. So you can see we have another array. You can see we have apple, banana, apple, orange, banana, and the last one is an array of 3 elements. So now, if you want, in case you want to make this thing to be one array, all right, all you have to do is this. You can flatten it. All right, you can flatten it. I can just call this thing flatten. I can just call it flat because it's going to return it. So I'll say fruits dot flat. Like I said, if you do not provide any argument to this depth, the default is 1. We already know our array. Our array has just one nested array. So when we flatten this thing and call the flat method, look at what we printed before. We have another array inside of it, but because we have called the flat method and it's going to flatten it to one level deep. So you can see everything is now inside. We now have this cherry, pineapple, pear inside of it. So we just have one array now. All right. So that is it. But in case this thing can be, this other one can also contain the inner array here. This nested array can also contain another array. So that means the level will be increasing. So you can say flatten it to 2 levels. You can say flatten it to 3 levels, depending on the structure of your array. But in case you do not know the value, sorry, you do not know the depth of the array, you can just go with infinity. All right, go with infinity, and when you run it, you still get it flattened like this. All right, so this is for the flat method. This is for the flat method, and it only takes one argument that is optional. And let's see more. Let's see more of it. You see, the maximum recursion depth is what we are talking about here. So this returns a new array with all sub-array elements concatenated into it recursively up to the specified depth. Okay, so this is how you work with the flat method. All right, the next one we'll take a look at is the flat map. All right, it flatten and map in one step. You know, we did the map method. Okay, so basically what this flat map does is that it does mapping. It calls the map method on it first before it flattens it. So it is similar to map method but flattens one level deep. It flattens one level deep. You cannot give it more than one level. So in case you have a scenario where you have more than one nested array, all right, you would have to go with the flat method. So, but you can still call map method on it, then call the flat method, and then indicate the number of level you want to go deep. So the flat map method is like calling the map followed by flat. So what this guy does is that this guy takes a predicate, just like the map method does. All right, it takes a predicate. So the thing is that what you can do here is this. You remember you use the map method to transform your array. So you can, instead of saying we are just returning the number here, we can say number times number. We can say number squared. We can say number whatever. You can work out. You can do whatever you want to do here. But the thing is that if you have a nested array, it will flatten it. Okay. So you can see another example here. We have hello world. How are you? We have these two strings. So we can flat it, all right, and you can see, okay, let's go to example. Let's go to example. Let me explain with an example here. First of all, I will go with the first one that we had. Okay, so if I can still make the same thing here. I can still do the same example here. Instead of calling flat, I can call flat map method, and flat map method will take a predicate, just like an arrow function. It takes a predicate. So I'm actually going to write a real function, and I'm going to return. So what do you want to return? I just want to return. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to transform. I just want to remember to take the elements, the index, and the array. But right now, I just only want to work with the elements. So I can just say return element. So when I say return element, okay, it is going to flatten this nested array just one level deep. That's what it's going to do. And when we go on here, we get the same thing. All right. So we get the same thing. We have used the flat map method, but right now the flat map method is taking a function. It's not just the other flat method takes the level of how deep you want it to go. But for the flat map method, it takes a function, a predicate, and it's only one level that it does. So that's the difference. The difference is that the flat method you can actually flat it to infinity levels, all right? But the flat map is also only one level. So we could also have another example, const. Let me go with that example we just saw. We can go with let's just call it, I don't know what do we call it. Okay, let me just call it string array. Okay, all right. So this string array has, the first one is said hello world. All right. The second one is hello, how are you? How are you? You can see that we have array of 2 strings. So if I go on to just console this guy, we have an array of, we have two elements in this array. We just have two elements, okay? But the example, this is what the example did. The example, what it did was, it took the element, okay? It took the element, and for each of the element, um, it was returning element dot split. This split method, we are still going to talk about it. This split method will split a string and convert it to an array. So if you call this split method now, we are saying split for each of the element that we get, split the string, split the string, and we just want anywhere there is white space, that is where you split. Don't worry, we'll talk about the split method later. But right now we are saying for every because we are getting each element in this array is like one is like more than one word. So we are splitting this array, these elements. When we split, we get an array. Okay, that's what the split method does. The split method will split a string based on the argument to give it. Don't worry, we'll talk about it in the next section, and it will return an array. So we are going to be returning an array right here. And as we return the array, the flat map method will now flatten it one level deep. So when we do that, this is what we are going to have. Sorry, I'm going to console.log the flattened array. So when I run this, we are going to see that we now have hello. Okay, sorry, we have an error. Sorry, I'm calling fruits. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to call string array, not fruits. I'm calling the flat method on fruits instead of we are working with this one. So that was why I got that error. This element was not, that was what got that error. So if I run this thing now, you can see we now, everything has, we now have one array. All right, we now have one array. So what we did here was that we first of all looked through every element. As we're looping every element, we were now returning an array, because when we split this element, that this first one now, we are going to split it and we get hello world. That's, we'll get two items in this array. Okay. Okay, so let me show you. Let me do this. I will say array. I will say element dot split. So when I call this split method, all right, before I return it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to console.log it. So I will return this array. Then once we return it, the flat map will now do it for us. So, but what I will do is that I'm going to, for each one, I'm going to log this array so that you see what we are getting. I would have to comment this one out. So for each for each element, we are going to be returning an array that we got here. So we are looping through every element in this array. I think I should also take this one out so that there will be no confusion. So what we are working with is now this string array. So we are calling this string the flat map method on this string array. So the first element will be hello world. That's a string. But as we got that element, we are splitting it. When we call this split method on a string, we will get an array. Then that array is what we are returning. So when we return this array, the flat map will now flatten it into one array. So when I run this now, you're going to see that this split method will return an array. So this is the first array we got, hello and world. How are you? So these are the arrays we got. So when we were returning this array, the flat map will now flatten it just one level deep. Okay, and in case you do not understand it, please reach out to me so that I can explain more. But I think this is enough explanation already. All right, so we have the sort method. All right, you would have, let's say you have scores, so your student scores, you might want to sort them according to, you want to rank them or something like that. That is where you use the sort method. Okay, so the sort method is used to sort an array in place. All right, so it modifies the original array and returns the sorted array. So let's say you have your student scores and you want to sort it based on who came first, who came second, who came last. So you're going to sort it. You can sort it as in ascending order. You can sort it in descending order. So let's take a look at how it works. Now, the syntax of the sort method is that it takes a function. That function is called the compare function. Now, this function will compare every element in that array with each other. So that's what it does. So compare function is optional, all right? The compare function is optional, but please, it's not advisable. Always give unless you're just working with strings, all right? The compare function is optional, but whenever you do not provide the compare function, the sort method will convert all the elements to strings. You see it? So if you don't provide the sort method, the compare function, the sort method will first of all convert all the elements to strings. And after converting them to strings, it will now sort them in ascending order using their Unicode values. This is not what you want. That is why you would always provide a compare function, unless you're just working with strings only. So if you're trying to sort strings, it's okay. You don't need to even give a compare function. But if you're working with numbers, if you're working with dates, if you're working with anything that is not string, please always provide a compare function. If not, the JavaScript will try to convert all the elements to strings, then sort them in ascending order using their Unicode value. So if you provide it determines the sorting order. So let's take a look at an example. So let us sort strings alphabetically. So we have banana, apple, mango, orange. You see, because this is an array of just ordinary strings, we call the sort method without the compare function, and it will be sorted out like this. But it's going to sort it in ascending order. Unless you want to sort it in descending order, you cannot provide a compare function. So I believe this is very simple to understand. All you have to do is to call the sort method, all right? But you can only do this on strings only, and they will be sorted in ascending order. So if I want to sort this thing in descending order, I'll have to provide a compare function, all right? Okay. So they are sorted alphabetically, all right, which is ascending order. Then you can also sort numbers in ascending order. So by default, the sort method does not work correctly on numbers. So if you don't provide the compare function, it will not work correctly with numbers. So you will have to provide the compare function. So look at this example. We have 10, 5, 41 in this array, and we are just calling the sort method without any compare function. This is what it returned. All right, it didn't work out well because remember, when you call the sort method without the compare function as the argument, it will convert the elements to strings and then compare those strings. And when it converted it to string, this is what we got. It was not expected. This is not what we expected. So if you want to work with numbers, you have to provide a compare function. So look at this one. So what we have is that it treats the numbers as strings. Remember, the sort method will convert all the elements to strings. So it will treat them as if they are strings. So it would compare them using their Unicode. All right, we discussed Unicode the other time. So it will compare them using their Unicode values. So, but if you want to sort numbers correctly, you will provide a compare function. Look at this compare function now. We have sorted this thing in ascending order. So let's go to code. Let me show you how you write this compare function. So I'm going to take everything here out. All right. So I'm going to create scores. These are the scores. And I have 34, I have 89, I have 12, I have 76, I have 90, I have 23. So if I want to sort my scores and know who came first, who scored highest, this is how I'm going to do it. I will say, remember, it will return it will return another array, I will call it sorted score. All right. And I will call the sort method on scores. So scores.sort. All right. So I'm going to provide the callback function, the compare function. So this is my compare function. Remember, this is my compare function. But this compare function would have A and B. So this A is actually it will be the first element. Then the second element will be B. So it will now compare 34 and 89. All right, that will be the first iteration. The second iteration, A will now be 89 and the other 12 will now be B. So let's do this thing. So, okay, let's do this thing. Let me show you. I can say, okay, I will say return A minus B. So this is actually sorting this thing in where, okay, let me do something. I can say console.log. I'll say console.log A and also B. All right. Then for now, I don't want to, let me print, I will print, sorry, let me do this dot log. So I'm going to do this so that it will differentiate our line. Then I will now say console.log the sorted array. I will say sorted score. So what I want to do here is that I want to show you for every iteration, we are going to have this thing consoled. All right. So when I run this now, we have A and B. So when I run this, look at what we got. The first time, all right, the first time our A was 89, our B was 34. Do you understand? The second time, our A was 12, our B was 89. The third time, our A was 12, our B was 34. All right? This is how it was sorted. And it sorted it in ascending order. All right? So let me take this guy off now so that I'll print the sorted one. Just play around with this thing. You have to play around with this thing. Play around with it. So it sorted it in ascending order from the least to the highest. But if you want to sort it in descending order, you just have to reverse B. You have to say B minus A. All right? And this will give us 90 will come first. Okay? So now, you just have to play with this, especially when you're working with it. Okay? Play with it and see what you get. Okay? And I don't know if I can put a breakpoint here. Let me see if I can debug. And let me show you something. Let me show you something. All right. So I don't think it's not going to do it now. It's not going to do iteration here. A is 89, B is 34. All right. So I don't think what I wanted to do would work here. Okay, so now A is now 12, B is now 89. So this is how it just works. So be careful when you're working with this. All right. You can just go on with A. You can call it anything. It can be any number. You can give these things any name. So, but if you want to do ascending order, A and B could go. You just say A minus B. Descending order should be B minus A. Okay. All right. You can also sort numbers ascending. That's what we have just done. You can also sort number in descending order. I just showed you that in descending order, B minus A. All right, and that's what I just showed you now. So you can also sort array of objects. Now look at, we have this object, we have these users. So we want to sort them based on their age. We can do that. Yes, we can do that. Because the sort method, we could get the the item. So we can just do the same thing here. Okay, but you would have to make sure that whatever you are sorting, when you're doing this A minus B or B minus A, it should be on numbers. You can't do it on strings. Okay. Yes, you can also do it on strings because yes, strings can also, they will use their Unicode. Okay. So, but it has to be on something that can on numbers. So look at what let me just go to example. Let me show you. Oops, sorry. Uh, let's go to code. Let me show you an example here. I'll take everything out. So we have this, I'll call it students. And these students, they are an array of students. So I will have name as John, and I'll have age as 90. I will have another one, name as James, and the age is 76. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is not semicolon, it's comma. All right, I can also have another one. Let me just make it 3. So I could have another one. Name is Ben, and age is 34. So I could sort this array right now. I could say sorted is equal to, I will grab the student arrays and I will call the sort method on it. And I would provide the callback function, that's the compare function. And of course, I will have access to the element. All right, so this element here would be the student, each of the students. So what am I doing? I will just say return. I will say return element dot age minus, oops, sorry. We still go with A and B. I'm sorry. Like I said, you can name it anything. I can say, this is ascending order. I could say B dot age. All right. And I could console.log the sorted array. So when I call this thing now, it's going to sort it in ascending order. So 34 will come first. Oh, we don't have, oh, okay. Wow, we can't really see this. Okay, sorry, I can just say console.log. Let me just, um, um, okay, let me just call the map method here. And what do I want to do? I just want to, this is the element. I want to console. Okay, okay. Okay, so I want to return, let me just return the element age. Let me return the element age. All right, so I'm mapping it and returning their age. So I'm going to get, instead of getting this array, I'll just get like this. So you can see 34, 76, 90, because we are sorting it in ascending order. So I could change it and say B against B minus A, and it will be sorted in descending order. So 90 will come first. All right, you can see what I did here. I'm actually consoling whatever this map method return, I'm writing it to the console right away. That's exactly what I did there. Okay, so what are the use cases of sort method? Or I use it to sort numbers, scores, rankings, sort objects, sort strings, case insensitive sorting, and you can use it to sort dates, latest first or oldest first, okay? All right, so the last one we take a look at is the reverse array. So the reverse method reverses the order of elements in an array in place and returns the modified array. So it will reverse it, all right? So there is no argument needed to just reverse it, and it modifies the original array. It will change the original array. So let's see how to reverse a simple array. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to reverse this, it's going to now start from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So all you have to do is to call the reverse method on it, and it will return it to you. All right? So you can also reverse strings in an array. Apple, banana, cherry. If we reverse it, we are going to get cherry, banana, apple. All right? Now, if you want to reverse a string, now the thing is that strings do not have built-in reverse method, but you can actually work around this. We have a string here. So first of all, for us to convert this string now to an array, all right? I don't know if I'll be causing more harm here. I've not talked about the join and the split array method, so I think I will just leave this example. I think I will leave this example, and I pray I remember so that I can talk about it in the next section. But I cannot explain this thing because I have not taught you split and join method. But let me just explain to you what this thing is doing. The string dot split method is splitting this string where there is empty space. So it will split it HELLO. There will be 5 items in this array. So it will return this array. Since this array will be returned, then it will reverse it. It will now be OLLEH. After reversing it, it will now join it back. So join method will join arrays to become one string. So that is what was done here. But in case you don't understand it, no problem. I do not blame you. If I remember, in the next session, I will talk about it. Okay, I will bring back this example to the next session. Okay. So when you do this, you're going to now get OLLEH. All right. So Deborah, you were asking me about that palindrome exercise. So this is how you actually do it. You want to compare the palindrome. Palindrome is a test that when you read it going forward, is the same thing coming back. All right. So when you do all these things, you can actually, after reversing, just like we have reversed this one now, we can now compare what we got, the reverse one and the original string. So that is how you can compare if it is a palindrome. Okay. So in case you don't understand, don't worry. I think I would, if you don't understand, let us do a video chat. All right. If you don't understand anything, chat me up. Let us do a video chat and I can explain more on how to work that assignment. Okay. So thank you very much. The split method will convert the string to an array of characters, as I just explained. Then we are chaining the reverse method on this array. We call the reverse, it will reverse the array and will not join it. Then the join method will not convert that string back, the array back to string. But don't worry, in the next section, we'll talk about the split and the join method, okay? So we also have another example here, reversing without modifying the original array. Remember, whenever you reverse, you will be changing the original array, all right? But this is a trick. This is the array. So look at what they are doing here. We are reversing it so that we don't want to change the original array. So this is a way of creating a new array, all right? But this sounds more advanced, so I wouldn't want to bug you with this. But I have this array and I'm using the spread operator to spread it inside of this array. So this will create a new array for me and I reverse it. So don't worry if you don't understand it, but if you understand it, fine. But if you want me to explain more, I can just chat me up so that I can explain more. I wouldn't want to go into something that will cause more confusion, okay? So what are the use cases of reverse? Reversing elements in an array, stack operations, creating a reverse copy without modifying the original array. That's what we have done in the last example. Sorting in descending order. After sorting, you can now reverse it. It will sort it in descending order. And you can also reverse strings by using this split, reverse, and join method. All right, thank you very much. If you get confused in any of this, please chat me up. All right, hit me on WhatsApp, video call, voice call, anyone. I will explain more to you, okay? Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next session.